Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridhari. Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridhari. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Parivajakacarya Srila Astuta, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। गंगा देवी की जय, यमुना देवी की जय, भक्ति देवी तुलसी देवी महारानी की जय। All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the lotus feet of Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Panchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyeva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. So, Hare Krishna, good morning, welcome everyone for Srimad Bhagavatam class. Today we are reading from Canto 3, Chapter 18, entitled The Battle Between Lord Bo and Hiranyaksha, and we're reading from text 24. So before we start, we chant the invocation prayers so we can seek blessings. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Mainam maya vinam driptam nirankusham asattamam akrida balava deva yatashi visham uttitam. Mainam maya vinam driptam Niram kusham asattamam akrida balava deva yatashi visham uttitam. Please chant. Ainam maya vinam driptam Niram kusham asattamam akrida balava dipam yatashi uttitam. Ainam maya vinam driptam Niram kusham asattamam akrida balava deva yatashi visham uttitam. Ladies. Mainam maya vinam driptam Niram kusham asattamam word for word. Ma, do not. Enam, him. Maya vinam, skilled in conjuring tricks. Triptam, arrogant. Nirankusham, self-sufficient. Asattamam, most wicked. Akrida, play with. Balavat, like a child. Deva, O Lord. Yata, as. Ashivisham, a serpent. Uttitam, aroused. Translation. Lord Brahma continued, My dear Lord, there is no need to play with the serpentine demon, who is always very skilled in conjuring tricks and is arrogant, self-sufficient, and most wicked. Please repeat. Lord Brahma continued, My dear Lord, there is no need to play with the serpentine demon, who is always very skilled in conjuring tricks, and is arrogant, self-sufficient, and most wicked. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. No one is unhappy when a serpent is killed. It is a practice among village boys to catch a serpent by the tail and play with it for some time and then kill it. Similarly, the Lord could have killed the demon at once, but he played with him in the same way as a child plays with a snake before killing it. Brahma requested, however, that since the demon was more wicked and undesirable than a serpent, there was no need to play with him. It was his wish that he be killed at once without delay. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Krishna Swami Namine. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Charini Nirvishesha Shunyavi. So I seek the blessings of all the devotees that I can speak something that will be beneficial to all of us, and especially for myself, and I'm speaking for my self-purification. And whatever I have heard and read, I'll try to speak from my realizations. So in this purport, Prabhupada mentions that no one is unhappy when a serpent is killed. So that reminds us of the story where Prabhupada once went to visit his spiritual master, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And this was the beginning days, and there was a snake down where the devotees were, and then Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur instructed his disciple to kill that snake. And Srila Prabhupada was questioning, because in our philosophy is that we are kind to all living entities, not just human beings, and that we should be compassionate and we shouldn't kill any other creatures. But here Prabhupada mentions the purport that no one is unhappy when a serpent is killed. So the understanding is that envious creatures like serpents and scorpions, they are very venomous and they cause harm to other living entities. Just like in the Bhagavad Gita, the battle, then Krishna instructed Arjuna to kill all the demoniac-minded persons who were on the side of Duryodhana. So it's not that one who is a warrior, a Kshatriya, that he should neglect his duty in the name of spiritual practices and not fight. So one needs to understand the intention and the practical side of things. Yes, we do respect all living entities, but when we are living in the world, we need to act accordingly. And another point here is that Brahma requested Lord Varaha that don't play with this serpent-like creature. So we see even in the pastime of Hiranyakashipu and Lord Nrsimhadev came in a half-man, half-lion form. So we see that cats, big cat, they like to play with mice. So the same comparison is made, that they like to play while they in the middle of wanting to kill. So in this context, I was thinking that Brahma, he requested it, and in the previous verse that Mukunda Maharaj spoke, it was saying that Lord Brahma was regretting that he gave this boon to Hiranyaksha. So we understand that even sometimes great personalities, they give benedictions to other living entities. For example, Lord Shiva gave the benediction to Vrikasura because he was performing sacrifices to Lord Shiva. And Lord Brahma has also many times given benedictions to persons who are of demoniac mentality, and Lord Shiva also gave benediction to Ravana. So when one has a demoniac mentality, even though they may do some sacrifice austerities, but their intention is bad, so even though they get the fruits of that work or that sacrifice, it's not sustainable and it won't last because the intention is not right and it's not for the pleasure of Krishna. So even if when we see practically how does that apply to us living in the world, we see that sometimes people do something for show, or when some great personality comes, they want to do something, and then they revert back to their lower tendencies. Like, for example, here Prabhupada mentions the word driptam, they are arrogant. So Lord Brahma is emphasizing and reiterating this to Lord Varaha, that don't play with this demon. He is arrogant and he thinks he's nirankusham, self-sufficient. In Bhagavad Gita chapter 13, Nature, Consciousness and the Enjoyer, it talks about in chapter 13, text 23, that Krishna is the Upadrishta and Anumanta. He is the witness and he is the sanctioner in the heart. So no one is actually self-sufficient. We may think that we are self-sufficient and we doing everything out of arrogance and we puffed up that we can do something. But actually, even in the Bhagavatam, it says that these are borrowed plumes from the Lord. And as soon as we think that I am the doer and not give credit to the spiritual master and to our predecessor acharyas and to Krishna, then immediately there's the English saying that pride cometh before the fall. So we should never think that anything we are doing in Krishna's service on behalf of our spiritual master, on behalf of Srila Prabhupada, that we are doing it out of our own strength. Like I often mention that Julian spiritual master, His Holiness Kadamba Swami, he always would say that we are the byproduct of the devotee's mercy. So even a devotee of that high caliber is showing by his example that we are never, like on our own strength, we are never so great. We are always made of the mercy of the devotees. So in this pastime, it's mentioned the qualities or the consciousness and mentality of Hiranyaksha. He's arrogant and he thinks that he is self-sufficient, and in the previous verses it says that he wanted to possess Mother Earth and to control her, and that's why he took her and placed her in the dirty waters. So then when Lord Krishna came in the form of Lord Varaha, because it's known that creatures such as wild pigs and boars, they go into dirty waters, and in saying that, it doesn't mean that the Lord becomes contaminated. The Lord is always pure, no matter whatever form he takes. But it's showing this pastime where the Lord can do anything. And it's increasing our enthusiasm and excitement, and just like we like to hear exciting stories in the modern world, like Harry Potter and things like that, Lord of the Rings. Then this is actually the benefit we get by hearing the pastimes of Krishna. Everything is there in Krishna's pastimes that these modern day movie directors try to create in the world. Everything's there, and it's the hero's journey. But the real hero's journey is in the Bhagavatam, because although these personalities, they are heroes because they are doing whatever activities they do, whether they are great kings or humble sages or very poor merchants, whoever they are, they're doing it for the pleasure of Guru and Krishna. So that is our glory when we do everything we do for the pleasure of the Lord and his devotees. And the demonic, another quality of the demons is that they want to commit violence. And we understand from Bhagavad Gita, it's mentioned there that the real himsa or the real violence is when we curtail someone's Krishna consciousness, someone's spiritual progress. And actually, himsa also refers to our own self, that we are envious of our own self if we curtail our spiritual progress and we don't take up this great opportunity that by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, he has brought all over the world. So this demon and angel, sometimes in the movies they have this, sometimes they show these cartoons where there's one person and then you have a demon on one side and an angel on one side telling you, oh no, do this bad thing, and the angel is saying, no, but if you do this, then this will happen. So that is also the super soul in the heart, the Paramatma. He gives us the conscience that we are doing something wrong, and if we don't pay heed to that conscience and that feeling that all of us have experienced it, that this is not right what I'm doing, and there's a subtle feeling in our heart, and if we ignore that, then we have experienced, I can speak for myself, that the result was not good. So Krishna is so kind that he is always traveling with us in the material world as the spiritual master within our heart, and externally as the spiritual master, externally, or through the Siksha spiritual masters or the devotees who guide us and instruct us. So we need to always be mindful that we take guidance from the devotees. And one other point to mention is that spiritual life is like a razor's edge. It's often mentioned that in the old days, the men, they would go to the barber and they would have this kind of knife thing. They don't have the shaver, but it's very sharp, and a slight movement can cut and it can even kill. So spiritual life is like that, like a razor's edge. And if, I was thinking of this, that when devotees mention that spiritual life is like a razor's edge, it kind of puts us on, may put us on edge, and we think, oh, I have to walk like on, very carefully and be always mindful and be fearful. But actually, when we have love for Krishna, then we are not fearful because we're always taking shelter of Krishna. And this saying that spiritual life is like a razor's edge is to remind us once in a while. We all need reminders, and sometimes we need a little bit of heaviness in our life to actually straighten up and straighten ourselves up and become more serious. Because sometimes we can become complacent in spiritual life. Especially like here at New Govardhana, we have everything. We are living in better than paradise. We have the association of wonderful devotees. We are living in the holy place, which is so beautiful. We are under the guidance of expert management under Ajita Prabhu, who is very kind and who's also very, very serious as well. And he corrects us and he guides us with kindness. So, just addressing this point, it says there that in the past there were demons and which are asuras, and there were godly persons, or the suras, or demigods. So in the modern age now, we have both qualities. We have the demon and the devotee within ourselves, the demigod and the demon within our heart. So this is a mentality that we have. So whatever voice we listen to, that will win. So if we choose to do something for the pleasure of Krishna and Guru, then the results will come. In Bhagavad Gita, we are doing Bhakti Shastri with Ikshvaku Prabhu, and he mentions there that activities in the mode of goodness, in the beginning sometimes it may be like poison, but then it's like nectar in the end. But activities that are bad, it may seem very relishable and enjoyable, material activities and illicit activities, but then in the long run you have to pay the price, like illicit sex, gambling, intoxication. We hear of it and we see it, that it doesn't have good results on people, and people suffer greatly, their families suffer, and society suffers because you have to maintain someone who's degraded themselves. So we have this great knowledge at our fingertips, and also in the past, the Chaitanya Charitamrita and all these great books that Srila Prabhupada has kindly brought to us, the previous acharyas, it wasn't accessible to us, and now we have it at our fingertips. And I guess speaking for myself, sometimes we become complacent and we don't take it that seriously. But actually, life is very short. And even though we're living in a first world country and there's so much comfort and enjoyment, we feel that pinprick in society, that Prabhupada mentions also in Srimad Bhagavatam in the beginning, that there is that pinprick, people are questioning, even though Prabhupada went to the West in America and people from wealthy families, and why are they taking to that hippie lifestyle? Because even that great material opulence and wealth and beauty, it's not satisfying because it's not connected to Krishna. So it's not that when we have that we shouldn't have wealth, or if someone's beautiful they are bad, or anything like that. But whatever we have in our life, and even if someone wants to study, get an education, and do things in society, externally we may be functioning in the same as someone in the material world. Just like Prabhupada gives the example of an office worker. One is a devotee and one is not conscious of Krishna yet. And the activities that a devotee does is that he's accumulating money for the pleasure of Krishna. He's driving home on the weekend, and then he's going to go to the temple, or he has a temple at home and he offers his food. He maintains his family and they are Krishna consciousness. Whereas someone who is not Krishna conscious, they go to the nightclub, or they engage in illicit sexual activity, or meat eating, and all these lower grade activities, and they're degrading their consciousness. So externally they may be doing the same work at the office, but the consciousness is different. And in this point, we should always, I'm reminding myself also, is that we always need to be introspective, that always question why we're doing what we're doing. My spiritual master, Krishna Goswami, he always says that, in our spiritual activities, we shouldn't become mechanical, that we should always be conscious that when we're coming to the temple, we're bowing down, we are offering respects to our spiritual master, to Prabhupada, to Krishna. So everything we're doing, we need to do it consciously and not mechanically. Whether it's, deity worship, or making garlands, mowing the lawns, like Julian's husband, Gunamani Prabhu, he does nice maintenance of the farm. He goes on his ride-on mower and he's maintaining the farm so nicely, everything very beautiful, and that's because it's for the pleasure of the Lord. And that satisfaction we get by serving the Lord is incomparable to any other satisfaction we can have by doing anything material for our own name, fame, profit, and aggrandizement. So this arrogance, this driptam that Hiranyaksha has, we all have it to some degree in our heart. And we need to always be reminded that whatever I am doing, whatever empowerment I have, is by the mercy of my spiritual master. And whether we're practicing for 20 years, 30 years, 40, 50, however, a lifetime we're practicing, it's an ongoing cultivation. Just like we need to eat every day to sustain our body, then we need to also every day do our spiritual practices, our sadhana, chanting our rounds, interacting with the devotees in a nice way, in an uplifting way. Then that also sustains our spiritual practice. Because it's just like eating food. If we don't eat every day, we become weak. So spiritual practice is like that. Even if someone may be present, just like Prabhupada gives the example that a tree lives for many years. We have many trees here. But would we say that that tree is maybe 50 years old? And is that tree maybe greater than, like, for example, Janava, who's maybe 7, 8 years old? Janava, how old are you? 6. So is that tree who's 40 years old a greater devotee than Janava, who is 6 years old? No, we can't say that. So if we're practicing in our spiritual practice, we may be practicing for many years, doesn't mean that we are greater. And of course, we offer respects, we are taught etiquette, and Prabhupada even taught someone, there was a Vyas Puja, I think in Japan, and someone who was 2 months initiated before was offering Guru Puja flowers to Prabhupada, but Prabhupada was showing the teaching the etiquette that someone who's senior, who comes before us, we respect them. Even, for example, someone who's not in Krishna consciousness, Prabhupada told his disciples Brahmananda Prabhu and Gargamuni Prabhu to offer full dandavats to their mother who's not practicing Krishna consciousness, because she brought them to the world and she gave her 2 sons who were great devotees and serving Srila Prabhupada's mission and serving Lord Chaitanya's mission. So of course that etiquette and that respect is there externally and internally, but we see the example even in Shukadev Goswami. He was asked, even though there are many great sages in the assembly like Narad Muni, who's made so many great he has many great devotee disciples like Prahlad and Dhruva Maharaj, and he's older than Shukadev Goswami. But the honor was given when a senior devotee gives permission for someone who is junior in maybe spiritual practice to speak, then that devotee doesn't think himself more senior or puffed up than that senior, but he's seeing that he's given that responsibility and that service to speak for self-purification and to serve the mission. And one other point I wanted to mention was that this point of arrogance, this triptam, in Sri Ishopanishad, it mentions there, Isha Vasyam Idam Sarvam Yat Kinchat Jagatam Jagat Tena Bunjita Magreda Karsya, that everything belongs to the Lord. So we are doing all these activities, we are making garlands, and they're making gimmicks for the Kartik, everything, actually everything belongs to Krishna. But by our doing these activities for the pleasure of Guru and Krishna, we are getting benefit. Just like the example sometimes devotees give, that a parent is so wealthy and they buy their child some sweets, some lollies, and then the child is sucking on the lolly and he remembers, oh, my mom or my dad gave me a lolly, and then they take it out of their mouth and just say, Janava took it out of her mouth and she gave it to her mom. Then Krishna Bhavana is not going to chuck it and say, oh, yeah, God, you're giving me it. Actually, I bought it with my own money and I gave it to you, and you're actually giving me something that you sucked on. Of course not, because the mother is seeing the love with which the child, Janava, is giving it to the mother. So Krishna is like that, everything belongs to him. What does he need? He has millions of goddesses of fortune who are serving him, who are cleaning the walls in the spiritual world, and yet there's no dust in the spiritual world, the goddesses of fortune. So what are we? So we need to understand our position, that by Guru's mercy, by Krishna's mercy, Prabhupada's mercy, we are given some skills, some empowerment, but always understanding that it's coming from Krishna. Just like my spiritual master, he says, when we're offering Guru Puja on his Vyasa Puja, it's not that he's also singing the Guru Puja, and he's saying it's not that I'm accepting that honor for myself, just like every other devotee. Or for Prabhupada, when new devotees come, we explain to them we are offering flowers to Prabhupada. It's not that Prabhupada or the spiritual master is thinking I'm great and he established this Guru Puja for us. It's for our purification. So Prabhupada and the spiritual master is accepting that honor on behalf of their spiritual master. And that spiritual master is offering it back to his spiritual master. And then ultimately that honor is given back to Krishna. So that meditation, when that honor is being given, is that I'm a humble servant and I'm just a via medium connecting that servant of Krishna to my spiritual master and then ultimately to Krishna. So we see just the example of Lord Chaitanya himself. He gives us in the Shikshashtakam verse, Trinadapi Sunichana Taroriva Sahishnuna. So he himself said, my spiritual master considered me a fool and told me to chant Hare Krishna. So Lord Chaitanya came in the guise of a devotee, so he himself is Krishna himself, and yet he's showing this humility. So we need to understand for ourselves that someone who's so great, who is Krishna himself, who's so humble, what are we? And just one other point I wanted to mention is that Lord Brahma, he says he's requesting Lord Varaha to not play with this undesirable serpent-like personality who's arrogant, and to kill him immediately. So in the previous verse, yesterday's verse, we heard that Lord Brahma is regretting that he gave this boon to Varaha. So this is a portion for all of us, is that Lord Brahma, he gave a boon, so he's in a way the spiritual master of Hiranyaksha. But Hiranyaksha became very proud and arrogant, and he wanted to control and take over the earth planet. So even if we become initiated and we are practicing for many years, that mercy can be withdrawn. And we see two examples. One is when Lord Indra, he committed an offense to his spiritual master Brihaspati. In Srimad Bhagavatam 6, 7, 2-8, it talks about when they were singing the Gandharvas and all in the assembly of Lord Indra. He was with his wife Sachi. Then they were praising him and honoring him. And when Lord Indra's spiritual master Brihaspati came, he didn't stand up and honor him. And then Brihaspati, his spiritual master, just walked away. So even if we are practicing and we initiated, just like my spiritual master says, it's not that we initiated and immediately he clicked his fingers. He said that, oh, I'm on my way to Vaikuntha and I don't have to do any work. No, work now, samadhi later. We have to work. And another example of how the mercy is withdrawn by the spiritual master is when Lord Indra was on his elephant, Airavata, and Durvasa Muni came by and he offered his garland to Lord Indra. And Lord Indra was very puffed up and arrogant, and he gave it to his elephant. And because the elephant is like an animal, it doesn't understand the importance of this prasadam that is offered by the spiritual master. He just smashed it between his legs. And Durvasa Muni then cursed Lord Indra, so he lost, and that's when he lost to Bali Maharaj, the king of the demons. So we need to understand that the mercy is there. Prabhupada's mercy, Krishna's mercy is always there with us. But we need to always be mindful that we are doing activities to please them. Just like a parent, they train their children, and ultimately that free will is given, because we can't point a gun at anyone, at a dependent, and say, love me. So that free will is always there, but by that training, we are given that understanding, and we are taught the etiquette, and we are given this knowledge of how to properly respect the seniors and holy persons, and to act in a way that is pleasing to Guru and Krishna. So I'll end there. If anyone has any questions, corrections, or comments, or any realizations they'd like to share. Yes, we'll get a microphone, please. Janava, thanks.
Thank you for class, Mataji. There's just one point that I was wondering if you could clarify. I was a bit confused. When you said that himsa means that we're envious of our own self.
Yeah.
I was wondering if you can explain that, please, what that means.
Himsa means violence. So Prabhupada mentions in Bhagavad Gita somewhere, I don't know exactly where, he says that real himsa is curtailing someone's spiritual progress. So that means someone is envious of another person. If we stop them from progressing in spiritual life, we are actually envious of their happiness. So actually himsa means also, if we don't take up Krishna consciousness and we're not taking this opportunity, then we are actually envious of ourselves, because we're curtailing, we are committing violence to ourselves. That, himsa. I hope that clarifies. Thank you. Anything else? Thank you. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai.